Good morning, everybody. This is Martin John, and we are here to talk about the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is an ancient text written in the 6th century BC, and it is all full of enigmatic wisdoms and new perspectives that we can look through these perspectives at our lives so that we can live a more reasonable life. When I'm talking about living a reasonable life, I'm talking about living a life in which we're being reasonable. We're not asking other people to change for us. Sure, we want to be treated a certain way. I understand that. And if we want to be treated a certain way, we need to put up boundaries and we need to do all these things. But we don't have to dictate how other people treat us. We do not have to be upset when people do not treat us the way that we want to be treated. When people aren't speaking to us the way we want to be spoken to, if we don't have the job that maybe we want to have, we don't have the money that maybe we want to have, we don't have the friends maybe we want to have, we don't blame them for not being what we want. We don't blame this situation for not being what we want. We approach it and we try and understand, well, what am I doing that is bringing this about? What am I doing in my life? If I don't like this, what am I doing in my body, in my mind, in this that I was given to make this so, to make this the center point of my life at this point? And this could come in many different ways, and this is why I invite you to come up and speak to me about what's going on in your life right now. And we'll see what's going on, and then we'll pick a number. We'll use that as an oracle, and we can look at those texts, look at that text from a space of, well, what can we glean from this information? So today I picked number 70. I just clicked on the little search bar on my website. If you don't know where that is, it's martinjohn.com/Tao, and you can use the random number generator on there, or you can click anywhere on the bar or use the slider so you can pick up a number for yourself. Susan's going to join me. Hey, Susan, how are you? You are such a cute little baby.
Oh, look at that baby. How are you, Martin John?
Doing wonderfully.
Good, me too.
Good.
I have a little quandary.
Okay.
I told you my ex-husband is getting his 5th divorce, and he's in a bit of a funk. And my daughter called me and asked if I would take a trip with him just as a friend to cheer him up.
So that's I mean, I'm feeling like, like when we connect and all that, I'm feeling that that's a pretty hard no. Now, it's tough because your daughter is requesting you do this.
Exactly. And she knows that I can cheer him up, but I'm just afraid it will give him the wrong message.
And it's not your job to cheer him up, first of all.
Yeah, true. So true.
And yes, it's nice for him to be cheered up. What is this a day trip?
No. It's a trip to Truth or Consequences, New Mexico, where he's from, to see the old house and to visit with his sisters and his brother-in-law and people that I really love, that I had a wonderful time with when I was married to him. And I would love to see them. I help me.
Okay. Well. I mean, first off, this is a no. First, okay. I mean, there's no way around that. Okay. Like when I energetically. Like when you said that, I was like, no, that's a no. Like I can feel that's a no. Like
hard
now
no.
You want to do something either for him or you want to do something for your daughter. So there are other things other ways you can go about being helpful. But let's start by picking a number.
Okay, I'm going to pick number 27. That's my birthday.
The mystery of the process. This is an interesting one.
Oh, goody.
Yeah. Although a good traveler may have plans, they are not rigid, nor is the outcome. Although a good artist creates, the creations are arrived at through intuition. Although a good scientist observes, it's done for the first time every time.
Right.
By embodying these strategies, the master accepts everyone and makes use of every situation. Nothing is wasted, and every moment is imbued with light. What is the good if not a vision for the bad? What is the bad if not a lesson for the good? Accept this completely, or you will suffer in all that you do. It is the great secret. So interesting. Like, I read that and I'm like, oh, wow. Well, whether you go or not, there's something to learn.
Right.
Okay. But this comes back to also communicating with your daughter.
Okay.
Even though your daughter is requesting something, you aren't, this is like, although a good scientist observes, it is done for the first time every time. Like, you may see the desire in your daughter and tell story about how you may let her down. But you have to observe this for the first time, and you have to be able to be honest with your daughter about what your boundaries are now and what your life is. And you have to be able to be honest, and because even though you love all of the people that you would be visiting, from the relationship that I know you have with your husband, that would be taxing. And it would be taxing in one direction. And you may have the fortitude to be able to withstand that, like you did when you guys had your little rift last time, and he came in while you were reading, and you didn't pay it any mind. It didn't matter.
Right.
But this is a different thing, because this isn't coming from you. This is your old roles rearing their head, right?
So true, Martin John.
This is all your life as you're making changes in your life. You are being called, you are being asked, are you sure you want to make these changes? Are you sure you want to mature in this way? Because if you don't, here's a ridiculous trip you can take and go right back to where you were.
Yeah, be stuck in a car with him for 2 weeks.
Right. Now, a day trip to go to a lake or to, go to a nice little place that, might make him feel nice and, get a nice perch or something, like, that's one thing,
Yeah.
but 2 weeks in a car and like, I can feel the tension in your body.
Seriously, I've got my fist clenched. Literally.
Yeah. See, and when I do that, it's like, this is okay. So a good scientist observes, but it's done for the first time every time. So, like, let's observe the body for the first time. For the first time, let's observe the body. If you've never felt this before, and if you didn't have any story about your daughter, any story about your ex and all of these things, is this a feeling in your body that you're observing right now that you would say, yeah, this is a good idea?
I just don't. I've always been a fixer. It's. I know it's not my role. But that's.
Yeah. And that's fine. Like, and now it should also be said, if you go, so be it. If you can't say no, which is very possible, once again, what it says in here, you make use of every situation.
Okay. I think I'd rather go on a day trip. I think that's the good idea.
And that's the thing. Like, okay, so there are ways of compromising. There are ways of making this work, right? So
I didn't think of that at all.
So by embodying these strategies, the master accepts everyone. You accept the fact that your daughter wants a thing. You accept that your husband or your ex-husband, right, can do these things. And makes use of every situation. So you can make use of this situation for your own and nothing is wasted. So you don't waste the request. You don't waste your identity of being the fixer. And every moment is a beautiful sight. And you don't tax yourself. You don't find yourself in a position where you're being taxed to an extent that you will lose your light.
I love that. And I can take my own car.
Right.
Just in case he blows.
Yeah. But not just in case. You can take your own car because that is smart.
Yeah.
Whether he blows or not, that's on him. Like, he's probably going to do it, and that's his
Yeah,
deal.
he's really volatile right now because he's right in the middle of this nasty, nasty divorce.
Yeah, and his divorces are continuing to get nastier and nastier and nastier.
Seriously.
Just because he is, not doing the work that you're doing, right? Like healing himself, realizing the influence under which he's living and all of this. So when we get to the end of this number 27, what is the good if not a vision for the bad? The good is like, you can do good,
Right.
and that can be a vision, that idea of like, I know I can make him feel good, but you won't be able to make him feel good if you're doing something you don't want to do. Maybe for a day or two, but then after that, you're gonna be at your wit's end.
Yeah, you're right.
And what is the bad if not a lesson for the good? So if you go into this, no matter what, there's going to be something that maybe you're going to feel like you don't like that you did. Don't like that you said. You don't like that you dealt with this. That is a way for you to incorporate that and realize that, this is a lesson so that I can be a better person, regardless of how he feels about it, regardless of how your daughter feels about it. These aren't good and bad definitively. They're lessons on either side. And so your daughter's asking you to do something, and then you can come back and be like, you know what? I appreciate what you're doing, and I know that this is all, I know why you're doing it. But this is something that is this request is more than I can can abide. And so, like if a day trip is something that you can do, great. But the moment it starts getting into, multiple overnights and things like you're like I know how you have dealt with him before, and so, and that's not fair to you.
I love you, Martin John. You used to always come up with, you straightened it all out in my mind, I'm telling you.
Good.
I did send him Stephen Mitchell's book, just out of, I just thought, well, maybe that'll help him,
Mm-hmm.
If I don't go on the trip, he can take the book.
It's but that's the thing. It takes, I like this show, this show that I do, because it is such a beautiful, like, one, the Tao is great, but
it is.
But when you open it for the first time, the riddles, like, I feel you have to be prepared for what you're going to read, because it is, even if I read just number 27, It's nice in the beginning, right? Although a good scientist observes it's done for the first time every time. Okay, I can grasp that, right? We got the traveler, the artist, and the scientist. But then it says, embodying these strategies, the master accepts everyone and makes use of every situation. Nothing is wasted. Every moment is imbued with light. Now we're starting to get a little far afield, and we're like, oh, okay. We might not understand what we're reading here. And then there's the big two questions. What is the good if not a vision for the bad? What is the bad if not a lesson for the good? If you were to read that without any context, now it starts to, this is where like the riddle comes in. This is why this is, thousands of years old.
Yeah, I told him this is a book of riddles.
Yeah.
And he has a very inquisitive mind. And I also told him at the end of the 81 chapters, Stephen Mitchell comes with a kind of a explanation of what he thinks is being said.
Yeah.
On each
Stephen
one.
Mitchell's is really nice.
It is.
His is a very his was the first that I ran across, and it's fairly modern. I think the language is really well done, and I think there's some really really cute ways of going about understanding it, and that can be a hook if you run across those little things. You could be, oh yeah, like I get that,
That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping he can get it. He's very intelligent. So there we go. That's what I did. I would have sent him your book, but it was over the weekend.
Oh, right.
I couldn't get you.
Well, I get it. I'm grateful.
Okay, I feel so much better. My
good.
fists are unclenched. I've got my hands just sitting very calmly on my chest.
Yeah. There's always options.
Yeah.
We have to open ourselves up to like the possibilities. And what you were, it was a clear no. It was a
hard no.
It was a hard no. Yeah. And I think that's a big, and I think talking to your daughter is going to be easier now that you have something that you can offer her.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. I thank you, Martin John. I
Absolutely.
want you to have a wonderful day like you always do.
I will. Thank you. Love you, dear. Bye-bye. Okay. Mystery of the process. Such a beautiful, and that is a process, right? And so there is, like, we have to, when we look at Susan's experience, right? Susan's experience is she has this ex, and she has her daughter, and she has all of these things, and those are all part of the experience that she's having. And her experience, and her husband or her ex's experience is being had as well. And her daughter is having an experience, her ex is having an experience, she's having an experience. None of those experiences are the same. None of those experiences, although they seem to be related because the daughter asked about the father and the things, but really they're each having their own individual experiences. Susan needs to be able to voice some things and be able to, maybe she has ideas about like what her responsibility is with her daughter and other things like that. That comes up because it seems to be less about the ex and more about the daughter for her. And so that's a good thing to be able to say, hey, look, I can do this, I can't do this, and I love you, and because I love you, this is a sacrifice or a thing that I'm addressing and able to do. And her son, who is very much against it, apparently, is having his experience, and who knows what that is, and who knows why, like all of those things, come into play. And then there's this whole thing about like, here these, this group of people, Susan, her ex, and their kids, as my guess, the son and daughter, and they all have feelings, they all have ideas, they all have thoughts, they all have these experiences, and they all have experiences, and the things that rise to the surface, the things that come up, are about them. It's always going to be about them. About them being accepted, about them being loved, about them being the roles of which they're playing, and what they're doing. What can I do? What is my responsibility? What is and when they all individually go to their separate corners and examine, what is this about me? What is this? Why are my divorces getting increasingly difficult? And why am I against, my mom taking my dad on a trip? Why am I wanting my dad to go on a trip with my mom? Why do I, what are all these things? And then when we start to break those things down, we start to see who we are. We start to understand ourselves deeper. And it's interesting. I picked number 70 this morning, these teachings. And I didn't get to read that yet, so I'm going to go ahead and read it now. If you have a number that you'd like to select and read through, I'm always open to having a conversation about the Tao. So join me if you'd like. Number 70 reads, "These teachings are simple and transform lives, yet mere intellect cannot grasp them." So, seeing as mere intellect cannot grasp them, we can't sit here and have a conversation about them. Right? We can't sit here and just say, "Oh, this is fine." We can't do that, because that's not how this works, right? These aren't, mere intellect isn't going to grasp the simple teachings of Tao, because we project. And so intellect gets us confused. It gets us involved in all of these things outside of ourselves. These teachings are older than life and benefit all things, yet people prefer the manifestation. These teachings are older than life and benefit all things. So, trying to conceptualize these words, the text that's here, outside of the need for a being. These words exist, or these concepts and these things that we're talking about exist beyond life. It exists just in the void. It exists in space. It exists in the universe. And it doesn't require you or me or Susan or her kids or her ex to make use of these teachings. Because these teachings are older than life. And so if they're older than life, then they don't need any life to be able to embody them, to be important, to be truth. Very few people will ever truly understand what is written herein, but for those few, these pages will guide them to themselves. Yes, this is a text this is a rendition that I wrote, and so that idea of being guided to yourself comes back in my work of recovering yourself. For those of you who listen to me at the end of my show, I always say, and until next time, keep recovering yourself. And the idea being that we have been living under the influence of things around us for so long that we've lost sight of who we are, and there is a desire or a push that we want to incorporate in our lives to becoming who we are, and dropping all of the influence and all of the frames of reference that we picked up along the way that don't align with who we are. And so, but that's tough because, the more praise we get from our identities, the more praise we get for that for living under the influence, right? So if we're a child and we do something good in the eyes of our parents, we get rewarded, we get praised, we get love in this very tangible way. Well, if that fools us into thinking that's who we are because it made us feel good, like, well, I did good in school and my parents, like, they loved me and they gave me stuff and they all of this. Well, all of that is influence. Now that I'm kind of in this mode of like, I'm getting something out of it, I am being praised for it. And if I'm being praised by adults as a child, well, that must mean that I'm doing good. That must mean that I have value in the world. Now, if I do something and I get yelled at, if I do something like drawing on the walls or doing something like, dancing when I wake up at, 2 a.m. and I have a feeling that, okay, I'm going to go dance. And it's like, well, no, you got to go back to bed. And this is the way you're supposed to be. And now you're in trouble. Now you woke someone up and you woke the dog up and everybody's barking and then you're having a good time. But then boom, you get in trouble for something like that. Well, what is the lesson that you learn? Do you learn, oh no, this is bedtime? No, that's not what you learn. You learn, I did something wrong. Now you're under the influence of this frame of reference that you created because you can't understand the whole picture. You can't understand what's happening. You can't understand. I remember my mom told me my dad had a twitch in his eye. He had a twitch in his eye. And I couldn't understand what a twitch was because I thought there was something physical in his eye. But his eye was doing something physical, but the way she talked about it, and I don't know if it was a twitch, but the only thing that I recall was like, she said he had something in his eye, and I thought it was something that had to get removed from his eye. And she said it was related to smoking, so he's going to stop smoking. And I was like, he's got something in his eye because he smoked? I wonder if it's a match or if it's like, I didn't know what it was that she said. She might have said twitch. Let's just say a twitch she said a word. I didn't know what it was. And I assumed it was a physical thing. Well, here I am. I have this frame of reference because I'm a child and I don't understand what's being said. And I feel stupid to ask the question because I said, what's in his eye? And then she would have been like, oh, I'm going to repeat the word. Well, I don't know what that word means. And because maybe I recall like not being able for whatever reason to understand what was happening. But that's what happens to us. We hear something, we make it make sense to us to the best of our ability, and we're often wrong. And when we're wrong doing that, we can build frames of reference that carry us for the rest of our lives that are just not true. Philip, how are you doing, man? So, Philip, sometimes I get guests that either can't get their mics set up, and other times people don't necessarily didn't want to join. So what I do is I just let people kind of and either try and figure out their mic thing, and I let people stay on for about a minute, and then I'll take you off if you didn't mean to come up. And that's just because. Yep, you're on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. Nice to meet. Have you listened to the show before?
I have not. I'm just walking up, and God has given me a chance here.
Wonderful. So this is Tao of the Day, and in this show, are you familiar with the Tao Te Ching? Have you heard of it?
I have not.
I have not. It's an ancient text, so it was written in the 6th century BC, and it consists of 81 chapters. Chapters is a really kind of I call them forms. They're no longer than 250 words. What I normally do is I bring people up and I just kind of talk about their day, what's going on in their lives, and then I'll ask you to pick a number between 1 and 81. And then we'll read that form of the Tao and see if there's any correlation. I kind of use it as an oracle. It's kind of just a fun little way of looking at this ancient text and being able to kind of see ourselves.
Hmm.
So that's what I do. And I understand that this is a new app for a lot of people. And I understand that. So if you want to step back and I can continue talking off subject, we can connect some other time.
No, we're fine. I'd love to jump right in.
All right. Well, jump right in. So what's going on with you these days?
Well, learning a lot about the gospel,
About
trying to absorb some stuff that's been going on, forgiveness in my own life, and trying to get past that and looking into the near future, more of today. The more I could learn, the better I'm suited. So it's just a learning curve for me,
Yeah.
It's a wonderful thing.
What brought you to wanting, because my guess is something caused you to want to be a little bit more mindful in your life rather than...
I need to be knowledgeable, to fight off things that I go through,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's harmful for me, not to be prepared anymore.
Yeah. You can't
accept the things that I let affect me, and it's
accept
okay.
the things you cannot change and change the things you can, my friend.
Exactly. And it's okay that I can't. So I have to learn to let it go. And where am I going to learn that? Except by doing it.
Well, it's iterative, right? So it's like we try today to let go, and we will on some level, for lack of a better word, succeed or fail at that.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, and then tonight, when we go to bed, we can observe. Oh, you know what? And I talk about it as being, I don't like that I did it that way. I don't like that I said that. And I often talk about things, like an Oreo cookie. You like an Oreo cookie. You can't not like an Oreo cookie. Like, they're designed to be liked. Yep. However,
I like the middle more.
Okay. Right. well, yeah, but there is a point where it's like you like that you're eating an Oreo.
The whole
cookie.
Concept. Yeah.
But then there's a point where you don't like that you're eating it because you've eaten 4. Now I don't like that I'm eating this cookie. Now I'm going to continue eating it, but I need to recognize that I don't like that I'm eating it. That's it. No judgment. I don't have to stop what I'm doing. I just have to recognize I don't like that I dealt with this situation in that way. Nothing I can do to stop it. I don't like that I'm yelling, possibly. I don't like that I'm angry. I don't like that I'm frustrated, but I am. And that's okay because I'm going to do it until I don't. And if I can bring in some awareness of the things that I don't like that I'm doing, I can also bring in opportunities to do something else. So let me get you to pick a number between 1 and 81. Are you still with me?
23.
23. Wonderful. 23 is entitled Speaking from Tao. Now, Tao is just kind of this word. I mean, it could refer to, you could call it universe, you can call it God, you can call it all sorts of things. But what this is saying is speaking from God, speaking from Tao, which means speaking your truth in some way or shape or form, like speaking from that space within you that isn't trying to hurt anybody, that's trying to be honest, that is trying to be the person that you inside want to be. And what it says is, when you speak, say what is to be said and no more. Neither wind nor storms last all day. Nature expresses itself completely, and no matter how wild it may get, then it returns to stillness. When you open yourself to Tao, you say what is to be said. Everyone will agree, because when you speak from Tao, only Tao can be heard. He who aligns with Tao will only hear Tao. He who aligns with manifestation will only hear manifestation. He who aligns with failure will only hear failure. How it is heard is not your concern. Trust what is to be said, and everything will fall into place. What stood out to you? What words, phrases, anything?
Trying to push my will onto others.
Right. You cannot.
I don't get the whole concept, but
No. Of course. This is the first time you're introduced to this. Like, I can't expect.
Yeah, I could understand. I could put my thoughts into how I feel and express myself to you, and say, well, I don't like this and I don't like that. Yeah, not that I'm saying I hate it, but I don't like it, and I don't have to accept it, but I have to live with it, and then that would be that. You can't change my mind any.
I can't hear you again. I don't know if you're going on mute on your phone or whatnot, but you're right. And how I hear what you're saying, when you tell me you don't like this, that you say, and I'm not going to change your mind, you're right. But how I hear that, because I could very well hear that from, well, he doesn't like what I say. He doesn't like me. He doesn't like what I have to say. He doesn't like who I am. You know, he doesn't like what I do. And that's not true. I have to be allowed to hear what you're saying for myself. And I have to be able to speak from Tao as well, speak my truth, and be able to understand that, like, how you hear my truth is not my concern. And I don't have to be upset if you can't hear what I'm saying, because you're a completely different human being than I am. You've been through completely different traumas than I have. You've been through completely different experiences. Your childhood was different. I was raised in Chicago. You were raised somewhere else. And so the experiences that you have, the common knowledge that you have, is going to be very different from the common knowledge I have. Than the things I know. I know how to, ride on a train system, right? Like on an inner city train system. I learned that at like 7, 8 years old. That's something that I know how to do. Now, there's a lot of people that, when they go to a city and it's novel for them, but so when I say something about a train, just like when I was talking about my dad having something in his eye, the thing in his eye wasn't necessarily physical. It could have been. I don't know what it was, but that is something that we carry with us, our own knowledge, and we can't be overly concerned with the fact that other people can't understand us. They can't understand us because they're completely different people than we are. So I don't know if your mic is cutting out in and out, or if you're not talking, or what. I'm really glad that we got a chance to connect. And so you're back.
I think my mic was cutting in and out.
Oh, okay.
Did it come back?
Yeah, I've got you now. Okay. So any thoughts or things about what I was just saying?
Yeah. I kind of can see the perspective of the other person.
Right.
There's no reason for me to not believe that's his truth, and for me to push my will on him is totally wrong. That's not my place.
That's right. And you're not gonna successfully do that anyway.
I'm not. All it does is get me madder and angrier, and it burns me up.
Yeah, and it turns them
me into the bad guy.
Right, absolutely. It's perfectly stated.
Oh my God, it's marvelous. It's teaching that you can learn from. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, like and every situation is going to present itself.
Applying them is the strength.
Right, and the more, and I always tell people, it's practice. You go to bed every night, you wake up every day, and you just practice. You put it into practice, and that's where awareness, and that's why it's like being aware that you don't like that you're treating someone this way, you don't like that you're getting angry about something, you don't like that you're doing one thing or another, without judgment, because judgment stagnates energy. You don't judge the fact that you ate 12 Oreo cookies. You just recognize that you don't like that you did it, but you did it, and damn, that was good. You know what I mean?
I paid a price.
That's right. You're going to pay
a
price,
but the price. Nobody else. So.
And that's the thing. It's like, I don't like that. I did this, but I did it, and because I did it, there are consequences.
Yes.
And I have to face those consequences, and I can't blame Oreo for the consequences that my actions. I can't blame them for being
that good.
Right. I can't, because I knew from the get-go that I didn't like that I did it. And I don't like that I'm getting angry at someone and trying to get them to change their perspective. And I don't like that I'm engaging in this way. But the more I stay there, the more I have to just accept the fact that I'm doing this, even though I don't like that I'm doing it. And there are probably going to be consequences to this. But at this moment, I don't have the energy, or I don't have the ability, or I don't have the wherewithal to stop. And that's okay. And that's how I deal. I mean, I got 24 years clean and sober. And so a big part of my work is to talk about this from the state of addiction and other stuff like that. And what we're talking about here is, from that idea, just like, oh, you have to stop that. And we want to talk about that from drugs and alcohol, but we also want to talk about that about how we treat other people, how we deal with food, how we deal with, raising children, having a partner, all sorts of stuff.
It all intertwined, Woody.
That's right. There's nothing that's
separate.
We don't
realize it when we got the curtains over our eyes and we're just doing everything that we want to do because it feels good.
That's right. It feels good.
It feels good. There's no, you just don't want to open your eyes to see the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd rather be out on the beach surfing somewhere.
Yeah.
Instead of in a church learning the Bible.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to wrap my head around how that we as beings would choose not to feed and learn and stray. But that it's all part of the process.
That's right. That's
We're
right.
all our own separate beings.
That's right. All having our own individual, separate experience as one being. We're all doing our job. Thank you so much, Philip. I appreciate you coming up. I look forward to talking with you again. I got Julie in the queue. I'm going to bring up Julie. And I think that was Melissa that wanted me to send her number 23. I will do that, of course. Julie, how are you doing, dear?
Well, 23 is doing well as well, isn't it?
23 is getting some attention. We had Marianne picked it you picked it yesterday. We went through with Marianne and Philip. And lots of 23s going on. That's I'm being from Chicago. That's Michael Jordan's number. So I don't know.
Is it?
It is. Yeah.
They won yesterday. I just thought I'd say.
Oh yeah. Oh God. It was sorry. You're up by 3. You're up by 3 at the half. I was just like, oh my God.
Yes. It's all good. It's all gravy. We got 3-2 in the end, but oh well. It's all good. So,
well,
I'm going to pick a number really quick. I don't know. I don't think you've got long left before you've got stuff to do. So
No, this is a Monday. I'm easy.
Oh, I love Mondays. Well, the sun's shining here, so that's
No,
pretty
you got to
cool.
get out and be in the sun.
Well, what I'd like to do is pick a number, and I know that you might know what this number is. Mm-hmm. It's the Saturn number, the number that is involved with the Saturn return. There's a little bit of information for people as well.
I don't. What? I don't know.
You do. So every now and then throughout your life, you have what they call a Saturn return.
Yeah, I know all about Saturn's return, but what verse has anything to do with Saturn's return?
No. It's the number. The number of years that pass.
29.
There we go.
Okay. I was like, because it is 29 and a half years that it takes, and I chalk it up to 20. I could say 30 as just as easily, but I say 29 because one of the interesting things about life, and I don't know if you got to go, you go. One of the interesting things about life, I think, is that we like to think of life as light switches, right? You have a birthday. Yeah. However, every transition has a warm up and a cool down, or a ramp up and a whatever, and a release, and it takes time. Nothing like when you're dealing with your own consciousness, like even though Saturn's return is at 29 and a half years, I always look, it's like if you're approaching 27, it might be affecting you. Same thing with, I was telling a friend of mine, like, menopause isn't a thing that's just like 5-7 years. This is a 20-year cycle, of something that happened. And it's like, you have to really kind of get back and look, at what's happening in your body and be aware of it. We like to think like, oh yeah, menopause happens between this and this. And it's like, well, I mean, when you are in tune with your body, like you might notice it's a 20-year process of just like, because imagine if that were to, like, even puberty, like that, like in order to become ready for puberty, that's years in the making. And then, okay, yes, now you have hair. Now you have these experiences with your new body and all of this. But then it's like, then you get all the acne and you get all the stuff and you get all, all of these different, what's that?
Hormone changes as well.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like we named it something. So now there's a point at which it happens. But really, it's just always changing. Like puberty moves into menopause.
Yeah, tell me about the menopause. I'm there. I'm right back on in it. I love it. Oh, yes, it's great.
And so it's there's all of these things that are constantly happening. But number 29. I don't. But that's that's Saturn's return. We can talk about that.
I'm going to be coming up to 60 soon.
Yeah, so you're right in it. You're right in Saturn's return.
I am now. What am I doing? I am 58 this year.
Yeah, no, you're in it. So my guess, if I were to take a stab, is all of this stuff that you've been doing for the last 4 years or whatever, like leaving your job and all that. That's Saturn's return.
Yeah, interesting.
So my guess is, we met like 5 years ago, and then you like that opened you up to some things, and Saturn was able to like lay groundwork, and my guess is that you will have then laid enough groundwork that when Saturn, so when you're 58, how old are you now?
I'm 57.
57. So as you're right now. The next couple years, you may find something that settles you into something. So right now you're discovering, and you are following Saturn. Saturn is having a deeper effect on you now than it did 2 years ago.
Yes.
And right, 2 years ago, you were doing the bike ride and you were doing all this other stuff. And now you're doing this, like you're going around. And you are opening yourself up to being inspired around you by the places you're going, by the things you're seeing, and to understand. And you have no idea where this is going to take you.
Exactly.
And so you have released enough that Saturn can come in and without really disturbing you too much. Because imagine if you had to change to this lifestyle from being a nurse.
Yeah.
In one place with a flat or with your boat and all of this stuff. You've released so much that Saturn can come in now and then just say, oh, now when you have new thoughts of your purpose, because Saturn controls our purpose, and this is and I mean, although I mentioned Saturn, I'm not astrologically intelligent or anything. All I know is that this is an obvious transition in our lives. At 30 and at 60. And so you are going to position yourself, with Saturn into understanding the purpose of the next stage in your life.
Yeah.
And because you are open to receive, hopefully, that is easy. Now, Saturn is a very hard teacher. She will beat you.
She'll rock me about a bit.
Right. If you're not open to the lesson. But the work that we've done together and the work that you've done on wisdom and the work that you do in your life and being open to doing all of this kind of moving about and you don't know that in 3 years you might be like, okay, I'm ready to be in one place.
Yeah.
But who knows where that place might be?
Exactly.
That place might be, Uganda. I don't know, right? Like, who knows where you're going to end up? And so,
which I enjoy,
right?
That's I'm enjoying,
and maybe it's not going to be that. Who knows? Maybe it's going to be that you're just nomadic and that's it. But being open to whatever Saturn has to offer you is better than wanting to hold on to the past, wanting to hold on to something that was while everything is falling apart. So number 29 is make the world a better you.
All right.
Do you want to make the world a better place? How arrogant you must be. The world, like you, is sacred and cannot be improved. A force of will would ruin it. If it had a guide, it would be misled. There are times for all things, even this, whatever it happens to be. The master allows all things to be as they are. She doesn't want to control them. She simply lets them do what they do. She also does what she does, staying connected to Tao.
It's an awesome connect, that is, for me.
Yeah.
It's good. It's really, really good because I am now in a space where I do just allow. It's just about allowance. It's about everything and nothing at the same time. It's great.
It's, and that's, and it's that paradox of everything that you, the quote unquote you, whoever is listening to this, right? Whatever you love to do is amazing and beautiful. And you need to do it because the world needs you to do it and everybody needs you to do what you do. Even if that means that you are doing something in which you're unfulfilled. You have to do that until you don't.
Yeah, I was talking about this to my son this morning. Exactly those words.
Because you are here to learn something. Like when you learn it, you will move yourself to a place where you're being fulfilled. You will change what you do. But I can't, a force of will on my end or a force of will on your end to your son would
Yeah.
ruin
That's
his
right.
path.
Yeah.
And so it's so important that he does what he does. And if he's unhappy with what he does, that's important for him to do too. And then act upon that. Do something to change that. And what is your idea of changing that? What do you want to do to change that? And that's what's going to make it so beautiful. And so whatever it is you're doing, like, and if you're unhappy, that's on you. And if you're like, that's like, it's like you do what you do.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
And
that's your experience.
right.
It is.
That's your experience.
Yeah.
And all of those beautiful things that you're doing and all those ugly things that you're doing and all of that, it's all stupid anyway. So yes, it's beautiful and it's great and you go do it and I'm supporting you in every way, but don't think for 1 second I don't think it's stupid. Because
I think that every day I go, yeah, it's all stupid. And it includes like what I observe. What I observe is all stupid. What I think about what I observe is all stupid. It just is.
That's right.
That's it.
That's it. That's it.
I love it all. I enjoy all of these things. Everything, even the stupid bits, even the sad bits, the nutty bits, the ugly bits. I enjoy it all because it's just, I mean, people always want to control. This is, the thing that I'm observing within this experience I'm having is the need for control. And there is no need for control because it's going to happen anyway. And
I think
I'm so busy controlling, how am I going to receive?
That's right.
Yeah.
And it should be said that you see that because of your relationship with wanting control.
Yes.
And so how stupid is that? Because like it's not it's not right what you're observing. What you're observing is just how you have trained yourself to observe. And because you had to have some level of control or your life would have spun out of control.
Yes.
And rightfully so. All of that stuff is great. However, it's not true.
I know.
And so once again we lean on the idea that it's stupid. Because it's not true. And it's fine that it's stupid. And you're having the experience that you're having and we need you to have that.
Yeah. I love sharing as well. I love sharing it. What's that about, John?
Well, and that may, like I always go back to the fact that, like you were in the orphanage and everything like that. And so like, sharing might be something that you were, on one hand, forced to do. And on the other hand, found that you got praised for doing.
Or even the fact that there was no sharing. So I want to try something new.
So you want to try something else. Yeah.
Thanks for having me up, Martin Johnson.
Always.
Fantastic. I always feel really happy and just really good about how stupid everything is. I always love that. Thanks so much. Take care. Much love to you.
Oh, love you, dear. Send my best to Brad. So, for those of you who don't listen to me very often, I just want you to know when I say things are stupid, it's not exclusively. Everything is beautiful, and if you love it, do it. But don't do it because it's not stupid. Don't do it because it's important in the world. Don't do it because there's some praise or some accolades or some prize at the end of the journey. Do it because you love to do it. Because no matter what you're doing, it's stupid. My show, I do it because I love to do it. but it's stupid. This is definitely stupid. And if I didn't do it, everyone would go about their lives and do what they do anyway. But I love to do this, and so I do it. And that's why, like when we talk about recovering yourself, when we talk about these ideas of, she simply lets them do what they do. She also does what she does, staying connected to Tao. Those are the last lines of number 29. Stay connected to Tao. Stay connected to your inner life force, right? Stay connected to that insight that you have within yourself. And that will guide you to what you love. That doesn't mean outside of you it's not stupid, because it is. But you love it, so do it anyway. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Martin John. This is Tao of the Day. And until next time, keep recovering yourself.